Street boy brought a trash bag to the ambulance. When they opened it, they froze. Tyler James Williams was in the worst moment of his life when he decided he needed to do something he'd never done before. The boy, just 10 years old, knew that decision could change everything, but he couldn't bear the weight of what he'd discovered alone. It was when he saw the ambulance parked in front of Mercy General Hospital in downtown Philadelphia that his legs began to shake. Inside the black plastic bag he held tightly against his chest, something moved slightly, and he knew every second mattered. "Help, please, someone help me," Tyler shouted, running toward the paramedics chatting beside the vehicle. Emergency medical technician Michael Johnson, 35, was finishing his shift when he heard the desperate cries. He turned and saw a dirty boy in torn clothes clutching a bag that seemed to move. "Easy, kid, what's wrong?" Michael asked, stepping closer. "There's a baby in here," Tyler yelled, holding out the bag. "I found him. He's breathing, but really weak." Michael's heart raced. In 15 years on the job, he'd seen a lot, but never anything like this. Carefully, he took the bag from the boy's trembling hands and slowly opened it. What he saw left him speechless. Inside the black plastic bag, wrapped in dirty rags, was a newborn with the umbilical cord still attached, struggling to breathe. The baby's skin had a bluish tint, a sign of oxygen deprivation. "My God," Michael murmured, immediately calling to his partner. "Jennifer, code red. We've got a newborn in critical condition." Paramedic Jennifer Davis, 42, rushed over with emergency equipment. When she saw the situation, her years of experience kicked in automatically. "Where did you find him?" she asked Tyler while preparing oxygen for the baby. "Near the highway gas station, where I sometimes sleep," the boy answered, visibly shaken. "I heard a weak cry from inside the bag, thought it was a cat, but when I opened it..." Jennifer worked quickly to stabilize the baby, while Michael called the hospital to alert them. Tyler stood nearby, watching every move with wide eyes. "You did the right thing bringing him here," Jennifer told him. "What's your name?" "Tyler. I've been on the streets a long time. I don't have family," he whispered. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. Inside the hospital, the scene was frantic. Dr. Margaret Wilson, head of pediatrics, took charge of the baby in the ER. A 58-year-old woman known for her seriousness and skill, she rarely showed emotion. "The baby shows signs of severe dehydration and hypothermia," she told the team. "We need to stabilize him immediately." Tyler waited in the lobby, still dirty and barefoot, watching doctors and nurses rush around. Michael, who should have ended his shift, stayed to follow the case. "Are you hungry?" he asked the boy. Tyler nodded, but his eyes stayed fixed on the door where the baby had been taken. "Is he gonna be okay?" he asked, voice trembling. "The doctors are doing everything they can," Michael replied, sitting beside him. "You saved his life by bringing him here." 2 hours later, Dr. Wilson emerged from the ER looking exhausted but relieved. She searched for Michael and Tyler in the waiting room. "The baby is stable for now," she said, "but he needs to stay in the NICU. He's only a few days old and has been through a lot." "Can I see him?" asked Tyler timidly. Dr. Margaret looked at this street kid with an expression no one had seen before. Something about that simple request touched a part of her heart she had kept locked away for years. "Let's go," she said, surprising everyone. When Tyler saw the baby in the incubator, hooked up to various machines, his eyes filled with tears. He placed his tiny hand on the incubator glass. "Hi, little one. It's Tyler here. You're gonna be okay, I promise," he whispered. Nurse Tamika Williams, 45, watched the scene from a distance. She had 20 years on the job and had never seen such a pure connection between two children who didn't even know each other. "Doctor, where's this boy gonna sleep tonight?" Tamika asked Margaret. "He said he lives on the streets," Margaret replied thoughtfully. Tamika approached Tyler. She was a strong black woman who had raised 3 kids on her own and had an immense maternal heart. "Tyler, you want to take a shower and eat something? I've got clean clothes in my locker that might fit you." The boy eyed her suspiciously at first, then nodded. He was used to being rejected by adults, so this kindness surprised him. While Tyler showered in the nurse's locker room, Tamika spoke with Margaret about the situation. "We can't let him go back to the streets," Tamika said. "Protocol says we call Child Protective Services," Margaret replied. "But you know how complicated that can be. Doctor, can I suggest something? My neighbor, Mrs. Dorothy, lost her grandson a few months ago. She's got an empty room and always says the house feels too quiet. Maybe she could take Tyler in for a few days, at least until we sort things out officially." Margaret considered the idea. Dorothy Robinson was a 68-year-old retired woman who often volunteered at the hospital. She was known for her kindness and discretion. When Tyler came out of the shower, clean and dressed in fresh clothes, he looked like a different kid. Still, his eyes remained worried about the baby. "Tyler," Margaret called, "do you have anywhere to stay tonight?" The boy shook his head. "I've got a friend who might take you in for a few days. She's a very kind lady who lives nearby. What do you think?" Tyler hesitated. He was used to the freedom of the streets, despite all the dangers. "Can I come see the baby tomorrow, Min?" he asked. "Of course you can," Margaret replied, smiling for the first time in a long while. Mrs. Dorothy arrived at the hospital an hour later. She was an elegant woman, her grey hair neatly styled, wearing simple but always clean and pressed dresses. When she saw Tyler, her eyes lit up. "So you're the brave boy who saved the baby," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Dorothy, but you can call me Grandma Dorothy." Tyler shook her hand shyly. There was something about the woman's gentle manner that made him feel safer. "Let's go home, son. I'll make a nice dinner, and you can tell me all about how you found that little baby." On the way to Dorothy's house, Tyler stayed quiet, watching the streets of Philadelphia through the bus window. The woman noticed his unease. "You scared?" she asked kindly. "A little," he admitted. "I'm not used to staying at other people's houses. I understand. When I was a kid, I stayed with other folks for a while too. My parents had to travel for farm work and left me with a neighbor. It was hard at first, but she was real good to me. Dorothy's house was simple but cozy. It had 2 small bedrooms, a living room with an old but comfortable couch, and a kitchen where something tasty was always being prepared. This room was my grandson Ethan's," she said, showing him a room with a single bed, a simple desk, and a few shelves of books. "He lived with me and helped around the house. He was about your age." "Where is he now?" Tyler asked. Grandma Dorothy took a deep breath before answering. "He passed 3 months ago, got real sick and, well, now he's with God." Tyler understood without needing more explanation. He'd seen other street kids get sick and disappear, knew how fragile life could be. "I'm sorry," he said sincerely. "Thank you, son. That's why when Tamika called me about you, I felt like God was sending someone to fill this house with life again." During dinner, Grandma Dorothy made rice, beans, stewed chicken, and salad. Tyler ate like he hadn't seen food in days, which was probably true. "Tell me about yourself, Tyler," the older woman asked. "How'd a boy so young end up living on the streets?" Tyler chewed slowly before answering. He wasn't used to talking about his past. "My mom left me at an orphanage when I was 7. Said she couldn't take care of me alone anymore. Stayed there a while, but I hated it. The other boys were bullies and there was never enough food, so I ran away." "And you've been on the streets since then?" "Yeah. At first it was real hard, but I learned to manage. I know all the spots where I can sleep without being bothered, where to get food, stuff like that." Grandma Dorothy listened carefully, without judgment or prying questions. "And how'd you find the baby today?" "I sleep in a little spot behind the gas station on the highway to Camden. It's kinda hidden and nobody bothers me there. Last night I was almost asleep when I heard a weird noise. Sounded like a cat meowing, but real faint. And you went to check?" "Yeah, found the bag tossed near the dumpsters. When I opened it and saw the baby, I panicked. Never seen a baby that tiny. He was freezing and breathing bad." "You did the right thing bringing him to the hospital. I was real scared. Thought the ambulance wouldn't take me seriously, that they'd think I was lying or trying to steal something. But you did it anyway." "Yeah, couldn't leave him there. Remembered a hurt puppy I found once. Took him to a vet, and he made it. Figured maybe the doctors could save the baby too." Grandma Dorothy was moved by the boy's pure heart. At 68, she'd seen a lot, but rarely met someone so young with such a sense of responsibility. "Tomorrow we'll go back to the hospital early to check on him," she promised. That night, Tyler slept in a real bed for the first time in years. The mattress was soft, the sheets smelled like fabric softener, and there was a warm blanket. Still, he lay awake a long time thinking about the baby. The next morning, Grandma Dorothy woke Tyler with the smell of buttered toast and coffee with milk. "Good morning, son. Sleep well?" "Yes, Mom. Thank you for letting me stay here." "No need to thank me. It's a pleasure having you. Now let's eat and go see your baby." At the hospital, Tyler rushed straight to the NICU. The baby was in the same incubator but looked a little better. His skin wasn't as blue, and the monitors showed steadier vitals. Dr. Margaret walked over with a clipboard. "Morning, Tyler. How'd you sleep?" "Good, doctor. How's he doing?" "Better. We stabilized his body temperature and he's feeding well, but he still needs to stay at least 2 more weeks." "Can I touch him?" "Sure. Wash your hands first." Tyler scrubbed his hands carefully and placed a finger against the incubator. The baby turned his head slightly toward the touch. "I think he recognizes me," Tyler said, choked up. "Could be," Margaret agreed. "Babies are more aware than we realize." Just then, a visibly nervous young woman arrived. It was Rachel Thompson, the 31-year-old social worker from the hospital. "Dr. Margaret, I need to talk to you about the abandoned baby case." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. Rachel explained that she needed to officially register the case and begin procedures to either find the baby's family or place him for adoption. "And what about the boy?" Margaret asked, looking at Tyler. "We also need to sort out his situation. Ideally, he'd return to his birth family or the orphanage." "I don't want to go back to the orphanage," Tyler said, frightened. Grandma Dorothy stepped forward. "Rachel, would it be possible for me to be a temporary guardian for Tyler? I can take care of him, and he's already settling in well at my place." Rachel considered the proposal. She knew Grandma Dorothy from her volunteer work at the hospital and trusted her. "I can look into that possibility, but we'd need to go through all the legal steps." While the adults discussed paperwork, Tyler stayed by the incubator, whispering to the baby, "Don't worry, little one, I'll take care of you. I won't let anyone take you away." Nurse Tamika, who had been watching, approached. "Tyler, would you like to give the baby a name? Until we find his parents, we need something to call him." The boy thought for a moment. "Ethan. I'll call him Ethan, like Grandma Dorothy's grandson." Grandma Dorothy, overhearing from a distance, felt her heart tighten. It was as if the boy had a special connection to her family. In the following days, Tyler settled into a routine. He woke up early, had breakfast with Grandma Dorothy, helped with chores, and spent mornings at the hospital with Ethan. In the afternoons, Grandma Dorothy took him around the neighborhood for short outings. It was during one of these walks that something unexpected happened. They were passing by a clothing store when an elegant woman in her 40s stepped out and bumped into Tyler. "I'm sorry, I didn't see you," the woman said. But when she looked at Tyler's face, she froze. Her eyes widened and she clutched her chest as if she'd seen a ghost. Your name is Tyler?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Yes, ma'am," the boy replied, puzzled by her reaction. The woman knelt in front of Tyler, studying his face intently. She had brown hair, green eyes, and wore expensive clothes. Her expression was a mix of shock, hope, and pain. "How old are you?" she asked. 10. "Do you have any birthmarks or scars?" Tyler showed a small scar on his right hand from an accident when he was little. The woman burst into uncontrollable tears. Grandma Dorothy stepped closer, concerned. "Ma'am, what's going on?" she asked. "My name is Victoria Anderson Thomas. I think this boy might be my son." The revelation hit like a bombshell. Tyler was confused, not understanding what was happening. "That's impossible," Grandma Dorothy said. "Tyler is an orphan. His mother left him at the orphanage 3 years ago." "That's exactly it," Victoria said, wiping her tears. "I had a son 10 years ago. The delivery was complicated, and they told me he was stillborn, but he had that same scar on his right hand. It's identical." "Ma'am, I think you're mistaken," Tyler said, scared. "Please, let me explain. 10 years ago, I was very young, only 20. I got pregnant by a man who left me when he found out. My parents rejected me. I was alone and terrified." Victoria continued her story, visibly emotional. "I had my prenatal care at a private hospital here in Philadelphia. When it was time to deliver, I had complications. I woke up 2 days later and was told the baby had been stillborn. I never even got to see him. But if that's true, how did Tyler end up in the orphanage?" asked Grandma Dorothy. "That's the million-dollar question. After I lost the baby, I fell into a deep depression. I spent years in therapy to come to terms with the loss. I built a new life, got a degree in business, opened a store, but there was always this emptiness." Tyler listened silently, trying to process everything. "And now, after 10 years, I see a boy who looks just like my ex-boyfriend, with the same scar my son had. That can't be a coincidence." "What are you suggesting?" I asked Grandma Dorothy. "That maybe my son wasn't stillborn. Maybe someone lied to me and took him somewhere else." The possibility was terrifying, yet it gave Victoria a hope she hadn't felt in years. "We need to look into this," said Grandma Dorothy. "If it's true, it's a very serious situation." "I want a DNA test," said Victoria, determined. "It's the only way to be sure." Tyler, who had stayed quiet until then, finally spoke. "I don't remember you. I've never seen you before in my life." "That's normal, Tyler. If what I'm thinking is true, you were just a baby when we were separated." The situation stirred up a whirlwind of emotions for everyone involved. Grandma Dorothy felt responsible for Tyler and wanted to protect him. Victoria was torn between hope and the fear of being disappointed again, and Tyler was completely lost, unsure who to trust. "Let's take this one step at a time," said Grandma Dorothy. "First, we'll talk to Dr. Margaret about it. She can guide us on what to do next." At the hospital, Dr. Margaret took the news seriously. As an experienced doctor, she'd seen strange cases before, but this one was particularly complex. "Victoria, do you have any documents from the delivery?" "Any medical records?" "I have all the paperwork." "The delivery was at St. Mary's Medical Center here in Philadelphia. I can get everything." That would help. And yes, a DNA test is the most conclusive way to clarify this. While the adults talked, Tyler went to see Ethan in the NICU. The baby was doing much better, already feeding without a tube, and his eyes sometimes stayed open, taking in his surroundings. "Hi, Ethan. So much is happening, and I might have a real mom. But I'm scared, you know? What if she doesn't like me once she gets to know me? What if she sends me away?" Nurse Tamika, who was caring for Ethan, overheard. "Tyler, everyone's afraid of the unknown. But sometimes the best things in life happen when we're brave enough to take a chance. What if she tries to separate me from Ethan?" "Why would you think that? Rich people sometimes don't like complications. Ethan's going to need a lot of care, special attention. You really care about this baby, don't you?" "He's like my little brother. I promised him I'd always look after him." Tamika was moved by Tyler's dedication. In her 20 years of nursing, she'd rarely seen such a strong bond between two kids. 2 days later, Victoria returned to the hospital with all the delivery records. Dr. Margaret carefully examined each document. "Victoria, who was the doctor who delivered your baby?" "Dr. Richard Coleman. He was very well respected back then." Margaret exchanged a worried glance with Tamika. She knew that name for all the wrong reasons. "Victoria, I need to tell you something. Dr. Richard Coleman lost his medical license 5 years ago due to irregularities in his practice. There were multiple complaints about questionable procedures." "What kind of irregularities?" "Falsifying records, mostly. Some cases involved fake birth and death certificates." The revelation hit Victoria like a punch to the gut. All her suspicions were starting to make sense. "Does this mean he could have lied about my son's condition?" "It's a possibility that needs to be investigated. I'll reach out to other doctors who worked at St. Mary's Medical Center at the time. Maybe someone remembers your case." Meanwhile, Tyler continued his routine of caring for Ethan and adjusting to life at Grandma Dorothy's house. The elderly woman had grown so fond of the boy, she could no longer imagine the house without him. Tyler, Grandma Dorothy said one afternoon. "No matter what happens with this situation with Victoria, I want you to know you'll always have a home here with me." "You really mean that?" "I really do. You brought joy back to this house. It's like my Ethan sent you to take care of me too." Tyler hugged Grandma Dorothy tightly. It was the first time in years he'd felt truly wanted by someone. 2 weeks later, the DNA test results came in. Victoria, Tyler, Grandma Dorothy, and Dr. Margaret gathered at the hospital for the results. "The test confirms," Margaret said, "Tyler is indeed Victoria's biological son." Silence filled the room. Victoria began crying with emotion, but Tyler remained serious, unsure how to react. "Does this mean someone actually lied about my son being stillborn?" Victoria asked. "Apparently so. And more than that, we've discovered how Tyler ended up in the orphanage." Margaret explained that after investigating, they'd found Dr. Richard had been running a scheme selling babies to couples who paid large sums for illegal adoptions. In Tyler's case, something had gone wrong in the process and the child was abandoned at the orphanage. "My God," Victoria whispered. "My son suffered all these years because of that man's greed." Tyler, who'd listened quietly, finally spoke. "So you're really my mother?" "I am, son. I'm your mother and I never ever wanted to abandon you." "But why didn't you look for me?" "Because I thought that you hadn't survived. If I'd known you were alive, I would have moved heaven and earth to find you." The emotions were intense, but Tyler still had doubts and fears. "What now? What happens to me?" "Now you come home with me if you want. I have a big house, with a room just for you, a yard to play in, everything a child needs." "What about Ethan?" The question took Victoria by surprise. She hadn't expected Tyler to be so attached to the abandoned baby. "Ethan, well, that's a complicated situation. He needs special care and—" "I'm not leaving without him," Tyler interrupted firmly. "Tyler, you need to understand Ethan isn't really your brother. You have a family now." "He is my real brother. Maybe not by blood, but in my heart. So I promised I'd always take care of him." The situation created unexpected tension. Victoria wanted to make up for lost time with her son, but wasn't prepared to take responsibility for a baby that wasn't hers. Grandma Dorothy, who'd been observing everything, decided to step in. "Victoria, may I speak with you privately?" The two women left the room, leaving Tyler alone with his thoughts. He was confused and scared. He wanted to know his real mother, but couldn't imagine abandoning Ethan. Outside, Grandma Dorothy spoke seriously with Victoria. "Victoria, I know you want your son back, but you need to understand something. Tyler isn't the baby you lost 10 years ago anymore. He's grown up, faced hardships, formed bonds and responsibilities. I understand that, but Ethan complicates things terribly. I have no experience with babies, especially one who needs special care." "But that's exactly why Tyler became so attached to him. That boy has a huge heart. He learned to care for others even as a child." "What are you suggesting?" "That maybe you could build a non-traditional family. Tyler, you, Ethan, and why not me too? I can help with the baby, teach Tyler how to study, support you when you need to work." The proposal was unusual, but it began to make sense to Victoria. She realized forcing Tyler to choose between her and Ethan would only hurt him again. When they returned to the room, Tyler was whispering to Ethan through the incubator glass. "Son," Victoria called, stepping closer slowly. "I talked to Mrs. Dorothy and we've made a decision. If you want, we can form a big family. You, me, Ethan, and Mrs. Dorothy." "What do you mean?" "Well, Ethan can come live with us when he's discharged from the hospital. Mrs. Dorothy can help us take care of him and teach you how to study. I'll be working, so you'll have each other during the day." Tyler looked at Mrs. Dorothy, who smiled and nodded. "You'd really do that?" he asked her. "Of course, dear. I already told you. You brought joy back into my life. And caring for Ethan would be an honor. And you, Victoria, Mom, you won't regret it." Victoria knelt in front of Tyler and held his hands. "Tyler, I lost 10 years of your life because of other people's cruelty. I won't lose another second because of fear or prejudice. If Ethan matters to you, he matters to me too. For the first time since learning the truth about his past, Tyler smiled genuinely. So we can be a real family. We can, son. A family chosen with love. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us as we're just starting out. Now continuing, the next few months were full of adjustments and discoveries. Victoria sold her small shop and opened a bigger business with the help of a loan to support their new family. Tyler started school for the first time in his life, with Mrs. Dorothy helping him with homework. Ethan was discharged from the hospital after 2 months. He came home still fragile, but healthy. Tyler took on the role of big brother with responsibility and tenderness beyond his years. "Good night, Ethan," Tyler would say every night, settling the baby in his crib. "Tomorrow I'll tell you what I learned in school today." Victoria watched these moments with emotion. She saw in her son a maturity and kindness that amazed her daily. One day, while Tyler was at school and Ethan napped, Victoria and Mrs. Dorothy talked. "Dorothy, sometimes I feel guilty for not suffering as much as Tyler all those years." "Don't say that, Victoria. You suffered too. You spent 10 years believing you'd lost your son. That's a terrible pain. But he went hungry, cold, slept on the streets, while I built a comfortable life. And now you're giving him everything you can. That's what matters. He calls me Mom, but sometimes I feel I haven't earned that place in his heart yet. Give it time." Tyler spent years unable to trust adults, but I see the warmth growing in his eyes when he looks at you. Indeed, Tyler was adjusting well. He enjoyed school, even though he struggled from never studying before. Some classmates treated him differently because of his past, but he'd made a few friends. "Tyler," his teacher Emily said one day after class, "I'd like to talk to you." "Did I do something wrong, Ma'am?" "Quite the opposite. I want to talk about your progress. In just 3 months, you can already read and write full sentences. That's impressive. Grandma Dorothy teaches me at home every day, and my mom helps me too when she gets home from work. I can see you have a family that's very dedicated to you. It's true, I'm really lucky." The simple answer touched Emily's heart. She knew Tyler's story and admired how he had found hope after so much suffering. At home, Ethan was growing up healthy and happy. At 6 months old, he already smiled when he saw Tyler come home from school and babbled sounds that seemed to mimic his older brother. "Look, Mom," Tyler would shout when Ethan did something new. "He's trying to say my name." Victoria smiled, seeing the pure joy in her son. Little by little, she was learning to be a mother and discovering that love wasn't something that faded with time. It grew stronger with each shared day. Grandma Dorothy, now 69, felt rejuvenated caring for the 2 children. Her once quiet and sad home was now always filled with conversation, laughter, and the occasional cries of the baby. "You know, Victoria," she said one afternoon, "I never thought I'd be a grandmother again at my age. Grandma Dorothy, what we've done here, this family we've built, do you think it's right?" "Victoria, family isn't just about blood. It's about love, care, and dedication. Look at these children and tell me you don't see love." Victoria looked at Tyler, who was on the floor playing with Ethan, making funny faces to make the baby laugh. I do. I see so much love." "Then don't question if it's right. Just ask if you're happy." "We are very happy." But not everything was smooth in the family's new life. There were difficult moments and challenges that tested the bond they had built. The first big problem came when Tyler turned 11. Some kids at school, influenced by comments they'd heard from their parents, started asking cruel questions about his past. "Is it true you were found in the trash?" one classmate asked during recess. "Is it true your mom isn't your real mom?" said another. Tyler came home quieter than usual that day. Victoria noticed something was wrong. "Son, what happened?" Tyler hesitated before telling her about the kids' comments. Victoria's heart ached. "Tyler, you know it doesn't matter how we found each other, right? What matters is that we're a family now." "I know, Mom, but it's hard when people keep saying stuff." "Do you want me to talk to the teacher?" "No, that'll just make it worse." Grandma Dorothy, who had been listening from the kitchen, walked over. "Tyler, can I tell you something? When I was a kid, I was different too. My parents were very poor, and I wore patched-up clothes to school." The other kids laughed. At me. "What did you do?" I learned that people who say mean things usually do it because they have their own problems. And the people who really matter don't care about silly things like that. But it still hurts. I know, sweetheart. But you have something they don't. What? A story of courage. How many 10-year-old boys do you know who saved a baby's life? Tyler smiled shyly. Grandma Dorothy always knew what to say to make him feel better. Another challenge came when Ethan turned 1. The baby had developed perfectly, but legal questions about his situation began to arise. Rachel, the social worker, came for a routine evaluation. Victoria, Ethan is thriving with you, but legally the situation still needs to be formalized. What does that mean? It means, technically, you're only temporary guardians. For a full adoption, you'd need to go through the legal process. What if someone comes forward wanting Ethan? Tyler asked, worried. Tyler, we conducted extensive searches for relatives or anyone who abandoned him. We found no one. The chances of someone showing up now are very slim. But there's still a possibility, insisted Victoria. There is, but we'll work to get the adoption approved as quickly as possible. This uncertainty created constant anxiety in the family. Tyler, especially, became even more protective of Ethan. No one's taking my brother, he said firmly. Calm down, sweetheart, replied Victoria. We'll do everything right so Ethan stays with us forever. The adoption process was long and bureaucratic. It required multiple interviews, social worker visits, psychological evaluations, and home inspections. During one interview, the psychologist asked Tyler, Tyler, do you understand that Ethan isn't your biological brother? I do, but he's my brother in my heart, and that's more important. And if one day he wants to meet his birth family, then I'll help him find them, even if it's hard for me. Tyler's mature answer impressed the psychologist. In her report, she wrote that she had rarely seen a child with such a strong sense of responsibility and unconditional love. After 6 months, the approval finally came. Ethan would officially be Victoria's son and Tyler's brother. The day they received the papers, the whole family cried with emotion. Now we're a real family on paper too, said Victoria, hugging both boys. We've always been a real family, Tyler replied. The papers just confirmed it. Ethan, now a 1.5 years old, didn't understand what was happening, but he smiled seeing everyone happy around him. As the boys grew, new challenges and joys emerged. Tyler became a dedicated student, always at the top of his class. His dream was to become a doctor to help other kids like Ethan. Mom, he said one day, I want to study medicine to work with babies. Pediatrics? Yeah, I want to help kids born with problems like Ethan. That's a wonderful idea, sweetheart, and I know you'll do it. Ethan, now 2, was a happy, healthy child who loved following Tyler everywhere. His first word was, Ty, trying to say his brother's name. He really loves me, Tyler said, melting with emotion. Grandma Dorothy, now 71, remained active and involved in raising the boys. She had officially become the grandmother Ethan never had, and the extra maternal figure Tyler needed. Grandma Dorothy, Ethan asked one day, why do you take care of us? Because you're my family, my love, and family takes care of each other. Even if we're not blood relatives? Especially because we're not blood relatives. We chose to be together. We weren't born obligated. Victoria, now 32, had found balance between being a mother and a business owner. Her store had grown, allowing her to provide comfort and opportunities for her sons while still being present for important moments. Mom, Tyler said one day, close to his 12th birthday, can I tell you something? Of course, sweetheart, you can tell me anything. At first, when we found out you were my mom, I was scared you'd leave again. Oh, Tyler. But now I know you never really left. You were always my mom, you just didn't know where I was. Victoria hugged him tightly, feeling she had finally fully earned her place in his heart. And you've always been my son, Tyler. Even when I didn't know you existed, my heart missed you. One afternoon when Ethan was 3 and Tyler 12, something happened that brought a new perspective on the family's past. They were at the park when a young woman approached timidly. She was about 19 with dark hair and a still youthful face. Excuse me, she said nervously, Are you the family who adopted the baby found behind the highway gas station on the road to Camden? Victoria immediately went on alert, stepping protectively in front of Ethan. Yes, we are. Why? My name is Brittany. I'm his birth mother. The silence that followed was tense. Tyler instinctively picked Ethan up in his arms. What do you want? Asked Victoria, trying to stay calm. I want to meet him and explain why I did what I did. No, Tyler said, agitated. You abandoned him. You almost let him die. Tyler, calm down, Victoria urged. Let's hear what she has to say. Brittany began to cry when she saw Ethan. He's so big and healthy. You've taken such good care of him. Why show up now? Asked Grandma Dorothy, who was also suspicious. Because I finally found the courage, and because I got help to deal with my problems. Brittany told her story. At 16, she had gotten pregnant by an older man who abandoned her when he found out. Her very religious parents kicked her out of the house. She spent the entire pregnancy alone, sleeping on the streets with no medical care. When Ethan was born, I was desperate. I had no food, no place to live, no way to care for him. I thought he'd have a better chance if someone found him and took him to the hospital. But you could have taken him straight to the hospital, Tyler said, still angry. I was scared. I thought they'd arrest me for not getting prenatal care, for living on the streets. I was just a frightened girl. Victoria studied Brittany carefully. She saw sincerity and regret in the young woman, but also sensed she was still very immature. Brittany, do you want Ethan back? She asked directly. No, she answered quickly. I can't take care of him. I just wanted to meet him and know he's okay. And if one day he wants to know me when he's older. That's not for you to decide, Tyler said protectively. Tyler's right, Victoria agreed. Ethan has a family now. If one day he wants to know his story, we'll support him, but it'll be his choice. I understand. I just wanted you to know I've always loved him. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Ethan, sitting in Tyler's arms, watched Brittany curiously, unaware of the adult's tension. Pretty lady? He asked, pointing at Brittany. No, Ethan, Tyler said firmly. Your mom is Victoria. Brittany smiled sadly. That's right. Victoria is your mom. I'm just someone who loves you from afar. The conversation ended with Brittany leaving after promising not to disturb the family again. But before going, she handed Victoria an envelope. If Ethan ever wants to know about me, there are some photos and a letter explaining everything, but only if he wants to. After Brittany left, the family sat in silence for a while, processing what had happened. Oh, Mom, Tyler said, what if she tries to take Ethan? No, son, she has no legal rights to him. Ethan is our child now, officially. But what if she changes her mind? Tyler, you heard how she spoke. She just wanted to make sure Ethan was okay. That was a mature thing for her to do. I don't trust her. I understand your worry, but sometimes we have to give people the benefit of the doubt. Grandma Dorothy, who had stayed quiet the whole time, finally spoke. Kids, what happened today shows how special our family is. Brittany could have caused trouble, but instead she recognized that Ethan has a family who loves him. That's generosity. Grandma Dorothy is right, Victoria agreed, and it proves all the decisions we made were the right ones. That night, Tyler had trouble sleeping. He kept thinking about what would have happened to Ethan if he hadn't found him that day. Ethan, he whispered to his brother sleeping in the next room, I promise I'll always protect you, no matter what happens. The years passed peacefully. Tyler grew into a responsible teenager, dedicated to his studies. Ethan grew up joyful and bright, unaware of the complex details of his origins, only that he had a family who loved him unconditionally. When Tyler turned 15, something happened that would change the family dynamic again. Grandma Dorothy, now 74, began having health issues. Nothing serious, but it required more care and attention. Dorothy, said Victoria, you need to slow down. I'll hire someone to help with the housework. No need, Victoria, I can still manage everything. Grandma Dorothy, Tyler interrupted, you've already done so much for all of us. Now it's our turn to take care of you, but I like feeling useful. You are useful, Grandma, said Ethan, who at 6 already had a strong personality. You teach me to read and tell the best stories in the world. Grandma Dorothy smiled, touched by her adoptive grandson's words. "All right, we'll accept help, but I don't want to be a burden." "Dorothy," Victoria said, holding her hand, "you could never be a burden. You're the foundation of this family." The hiring of Ruth Jenkins, a 50-year-old woman who had recently lost her job, brought new energy to the house. She quickly adapted to the family's routine and developed a special fondness for Grandma Dorothy. "Mrs. Dorothy," Ruth said one afternoon, "you've built a beautiful family here. It wasn't just me, it was God who brought these people together at the right time." "How so?" Tyler needed a family. Victoria needed the son she thought she'd lost. Ethan needed care and love. And I needed purpose after I lost my Ethan. Everything fit perfectly. "And now I needed work, and you all needed help," Ruth added. "Exactly. Life has its beautiful ways." With Ruth's help, Grandma Dorothy could focus more on what she truly loved, teaching Ethan to read, helping Tyler with his studies, and telling family stories. It was during one of these storytelling sessions that Ethan, now 7, asked a question that surprised everyone. "Grandma Dorothy, why don't I remember being a baby?" "No one remembers that time, sweetheart. It's normal. But I keep thinking, what was it like before you found me?" Tyler, who was doing homework at the kitchen table, paused to listen. "Ethan," Grandma Dorothy said carefully, "do you want to know about when you were a baby?" "Yeah." "Well, you came to our family when you were very tiny. Tyler found you and took you to the hospital. The doctors cared for you until you were strong, and then you came to live with us." "What about my real mom?" "Your real mom is Victoria. She's the one who raised you, loved you, took care of you when you were sick. But was there another mum before?" Tyler moved closer, sitting beside his brother. "Ethan, do you want to know the truth about how you came to our family?" "Yeah." Tyler glanced at Grandma Dorothy, who nodded. It was time for Ethan to hear his story in a way he could understand. "Okay, when you were a tiny baby, your birth, Mum couldn't take care of you. She was very young and didn't have the means, so she did something very brave. She left you somewhere she knew someone would find you and take you to the hospital. And you found me? I found you, and the moment I saw you, I knew you'd be my brother forever." "What about our mom, Victoria?" "Victoria is my real mom, but she lost me when I was a baby because of bad people. When we found each other again, she accepted you as her son too." Ethan processed the information with the solemnity only children possess. "So we're a chosen family?" "That's right. A family that chose to be together. And the mother who had me, is she okay?" "Yes, she is. She has a good life now and is happy knowing you're happy." "Can I meet her someday?" "If you want, when you're older, we can talk about it." "Okay, now I want to play." And with the natural ease of children, Ethan ran off to play in the backyard, leaving the adults impressed by his maturity. "He took it really well," observed Grandma Dorothy. "Ethan has always been a special child," said Tyler. "I think he was born knowing he's loved." That night, when Victoria came home from work, Tyler told her about the conversation with Ethan. "How did he react?" she asked worriedly. "Really well. He asked a few questions but didn't get upset or confused. I think we did the right thing by telling him little by little as he asked. Yes, it's better than him finding out by accident when he's older." Ethan continued growing up happy and well-adjusted, with no trauma related to his origins. By 8, he was a popular, smart and affectionate child at school. Tyler, now 16, had already defined his future. He wanted to study medicine and specialize in neonatology. "Mum," he said during a dinner conversation, "I got a partial scholarship for the pre-med prep course." "That's wonderful. Son, I'm so proud. It's because of the essay I wrote about our family. The teacher said he'd never read anything so moving." "What did you write about?" "About how a family can be formed by destiny, not just blood. I wrote about you, about me, about Ethan, about Grandma Dorothy, about how each of us came into each other's lives at the right time." Victoria was moved. Her son had become a thoughtful and grateful young man despite everything he'd been through. "Tyler, you know I'm so proud of the man you're becoming. I learned from all of you. From you, from Grandma Dorothy, even from Ethan. Everyone taught me about love, family, and responsibility. And what else did you learn? That our story isn't about abandonment or loss. It's about encounters and choices. Each of us chose to be here, chose to love, chose to form this family. Grandma Dorothy, listening from the kitchen, smiled proudly. At 75, she saw that her mission to help build this family had been successfully fulfilled. "Ethan," Tyler called. "Come here for a sec." Ethan, who was watching cartoons, came running. "What, Ty?" "I want to tell you something important. Remember when you asked about our family?" "Yeah." "I want you to always remember that you weren't abandoned. You were entrusted to the care of the universe, and the universe sent you to us." "What do you mean?" "Your birth mother loved you so much that she chose to leave you where someone would find you and take good care of you. It was an act of love, not abandonment. I get it, she wanted me to be happy." "Exactly. And we all found each other because we were meant to be a family." Ethan hugged Tyler tightly. "Thank you for finding me, Ty." "Thank you for existing, Ethan." Victoria watched the scene with tears in her eyes. Her unconventional family had become the most beautiful and solid thing in her life. When Ethan turned 9 and Tyler 18, a new chapter began for the family. Tyler got accepted into medical school at one of the state's top universities. "I did it, Mom. I got in first place," he shouted as he came home with the results. The whole house erupted in celebration. Ethan jumped for joy, Grandma Dorothy cried with emotion, and Victoria couldn't contain her pride. "I knew you could do it," Victoria said, hugging her. "Son, now I'll study to help other kids like Ethan when they're babies." "You're gonna be the best doctor in the world," Ethan said, admiring his brother. "I'll try. And you, Ethan? What do you want to be when you grow up?" "I want to be just like you. I want to help people." "Then let's study together, okay?" During Tyler's first years in college, the family adjusted to his absence during the day. Ethan missed his brother, but understood he was studying to achieve his dream. "Ty," Ethan asked one day, "when you become a doctor, will you forget about us?" "Never, Ethan. You're the reason I want to be a doctor, to give back all the love I've received from you." "And will you still live here?" "Always. This is my home, my family. Nothing will change that." The family's peace was tested again when Grandma Dorothy, now 78, had a serious health issue. She had to stay at Mercy General Hospital for a week for treatment. "Grandma Dorothy," Ethan said during a visit, "I miss having you at home." "I miss you too, sweetheart, but I'll be back soon. Do you promise you'll get better?" "I promise I'll do everything the doctors say so I can get better quickly." Tyler, already in his 3rd year of medical school, spoke with the doctors about Dorothy's condition. "Mom," he told Victoria, "Grandma Dorothy is okay, but she'll need more care from now on. What do you think we should do? Maybe it's time to consider hiring a nurse to stay with her during the day. Do you think she'll agree?" "If we explain it's for our peace of mind, I think so." When Dorothy returned home, the family discussed the necessary changes. "Dorothy," Victoria said, "we'd like to hire a nurse to keep you company during the day." "That's not necessary, Victoria. Ruth already helps me with everything." "Grandma," Tyler interrupted, "it's not about needing help. It's about care. We want to make sure you're always well." "And I want you to stay with me for a long time," Ethan added. Dorothy was moved by their affection. "All right, but only if it's someone who doesn't treat me like I'm helpless." "Of course not. We'll find someone special just like you." The nurse they hired was Betty, a 60-year-old widow who quickly became more like family than an employee. "Now, Betty," Dorothy said after a few weeks, "you've settled in so well here." "It's a special family, Dorothy. Love fills every corner." "That's true. Everyone came here in different ways, but they all came together with so much care. You must be very proud of helping build all this." "I am, but the credit isn't just mine. Everyone played their part." At 10 years old, Ethan had grown into an even more remarkable child. He was protective of Dorothy, proud of Tyler, affectionate with Victoria, and already showed signs of wanting to follow in his brother's footsteps. "Mom," Ethan said one afternoon, "can I visit the hospital where Ty studies?" "Why, honey?" "I want to see the place where they took care of me when I was a baby." Victoria was surprised by the request, but thought it was a good idea. "Of course, let's arrange a visit with Tyler." At St. Mary's Medical Center, Ethan was amazed by the NICU. "Is this where I stayed?" he asked, looking at the incubators. "Yes," Tyler replied. "That one at the end. You were so tiny you could fit in the palm of my hand. And you came to see me every day. Every day. I'd talk to you, tell you stories, promise we'd be brothers forever." Ethan watched the babies currently in care. Will they have families like ours too? Some will go back to their birth families. Others might be adopted by families who love them very much. Like us. Like us. The hospital visit left a deep impression on Ethan. He understood his story more concretely and felt even more grateful for the family he had. "Ty," he said on the way back home, "when I grow up, I want to work saving babies too." "That's a beautiful dream, Ethan, and I'm sure you'll make it happen. Can you teach me?" "Of course I can. We can start studying together right now." From that day on, Ethan became even more interested in his studies, especially in science and biology. Tyler, always affectionate, dedicated part of his free time to teaching his brother about the human body and medicine. "Ethan," Tyler said during one of their study sessions, "do you remember when you asked about your birth mother?" "I do." Are you still want to meet her someday?" Ethan thought for a moment before answering. "Maybe, but not because I miss her or feel sad. Just curiosity, really. And if one day you meet her and she wants to be part of your life, then I'd tell her, I already have a mom, but she can be our friend if she wants." Ethan's maturity continued to impress everyone. At 11, he already had a clear understanding of family and relationships. Tyler, now 21, was in his 5th year of medical school and already interning in the NICU. Whenever possible, he took Ethan to the hospital to meet other doctors. "Dr. Tyler," a fellow intern said, "your brother is amazing. He knows more about medicine than many first-year students." Ethan's always been special. He has a natural intelligence for understanding people and situations. "And you two have an interesting story too, don't you?" "We do. It's our story about how fate can bring people together at the right time." One day when Ethan was 12 and in his last year of elementary school, something unexpected happened. Brittany, now 25, showed up again, but this time she wasn't alone. A boy around 6 years old stood beside her. "Victoria," she said nervously, "can I talk to you all?" The family gathered in the living room, uneasy about the unexpected visit. "This is Noah," Brittany introduced, gesturing to the boy. He's Ethan's brother." A tense silence followed. Ethan looked at the boy with curiosity, while Tyler instinctively moved into a protective stance. "What do you mean, brother?" Victoria asked. "Noah is the son of Ethan's birth father. I recently found out the man who got me pregnant did the same to other girls." "And what does that have to do with us?" Tyler asked suspiciously. "Noah's mother died 2 months ago. He has no one else. His father disappeared years ago. And I can't take care of him alone." "Brittany," Victoria said firmly, "we can't solve every abandoned child's problems in the world." "I know. But when I found out Noah was Ethan's brother, I thought maybe you—" "No," Tyler interrupted. "You can't just show up and drop this responsibility on us." Ethan, who had been quietly observing, stepped closer to the boy. "Hi," he said softly. "I'm Ethan." "Hi," Noah replied shyly. "Are you my brother?" "Looks like it." The innocence of their exchange touched everyone's hearts. "Noah," Ethan asked, "you don't have a place to live?" "No, I was in a home with other kids, but it was really sad there." "Do you want a family?" "I really do." Ethan turned to Victoria with those eyes she could never resist. "Mom, can we talk?" Victoria, Tyler, Ethan, and Grandma Dorothy gathered in the kitchen while Brittany stayed in the living room with Noah. "Ethan," Victoria said, "I know what you're thinking, but we need to be realistic." "Mom, I know it's complicated, but he's my blood brother, and he's alone in the world." "Ethan's right," Grandma Dorothy said, surprising everyone. "If God brought this child to our doorstep, there must be a reason," Grandma Dorothy said. "Tyler," she continued, "we can't make decisions based just on emotion. And I'm not talking about emotion, Tyler. I'm talking about purpose. Our family was built this way, with people who needed each other arriving at just the right time. But Noah is 6. It's not like when Ethan was a baby." "That's true," Ethan agreed. But maybe it'll be easier because he can already talk and say how he feels. Victoria watched the discussion, torn between reason and her heart. "Ethan," she said, "if we decide to take Noah in, do you understand how much this will change our lives?" "I do, but remember what you always say? That family is about choosing to love, not about obligation." "I remember." "Then we can choose to love Noah too." Ethan's wisdom, at just 12 years old, impressed everyone. In the kitchen, "All right," Victoria said after a sigh, "let's talk to Noah, but if we decide to take him in, it'll be with all the rules and responsibilities that come with it." "Of course, Mom. Thank you." When they returned to the living room, Noah was sitting in the corner of the sofa, clearly scared by the whole situation. "Noah," Victoria called gently, "come here and talk with us." The boy approached slowly. "Do you really want to be part of our family?" Victoria asked. "I do. But do you want me?" "We'd like to get to know you better first. How about you stay here for a few days and we'll see how we adjust?" "Okay. But there are some rules. You have to go to school, help with chores, and treat everyone with respect. Can you do that?" "Yes, ma'am." Ethan walked over to his brother. "Noah, want to see the room where you can sleep? Yeah?" The two boys went upstairs together, leaving the adults to talk with Brittany. "Brittany," Victoria said, "we'll try a trial period with Noah, but you need to understand that if it doesn't work out, we'll have to find another solution." "I understand, and thank you so much for giving him a chance." 1. Question: are you sure you can't take care of him yourself? "I'm sure. I work as a sales clerk, make barely enough, and live in a tiny studio apartment. I can hardly support myself, let alone a child. And you don't plan to stay in touch with Noah if he stays with us?" "I'd like to, if you'd allow it. But I understand he needs stability most of all." It was agreed that Noah would stay in the house for 2 weeks as a trial period. If everything went well, they'd start the legal process for permanent custody. The first few days were challenging. Noah was a child traumatized by repeated abandonment, so he constantly tested boundaries to see if he'd be rejected again. "Why are you being so mean to me?" Ethan asked during one of their arguments. "Because when I leave, it'll be easier if you don't like me." The answer broke Ethan's heart. "Noah, you're not leaving. This is your home now." "How do you know?" "Because my family doesn't abandon people. They found me when I was a baby and never let me go. They won't let you go either." Gradually, Noah began to believe he was truly welcome in that house. His real personality started to shine. He was a smart, funny, and affectionate boy. "Grandma, Dorothy," Noah said one night, "can you tell me a story?" "Of course, sweetheart. What kind of story do you want?" "The story of how our family came together." Dorothy smiled and began telling the saga of the Anderson Thomas family, from the day Tyler found Ethan up to that very moment. "And now you're here to complete our family," she finished. "Do I really belong here?" "Of course you do. Everyone has their special place in this home." After the 2-week trial, there was no more doubt. Noah would officially become part of the family. "Mom," said Ethan, "now we're a family of 5 plus Grandma, Dorothy, Ruth, and Betty." "That's right, a big, noisy family. And happy. Very happy." Noah's arrival brought a new dynamic to the household. Ethan took on the role of big brother with responsibility. Tyler became a father figure to both boys, and Victoria discovered she had enough love for one more child. "Do you regret it?" Grandma Dorothy asked Victoria one quiet afternoon. "Regret? What?" "Taking Noah in. I know it was a tough decision." "Not one bit. Look at them," she said, pointing to Ethan and Noah playing in the yard. "It's like they've always been brothers." That's the power of real love. It creates bonds that blood sometimes can't. Tyler, now 22 and about to graduate from medical school, watched his family with pride. "Mom," he said during dinner, "remember when you found me at 10 and were afraid you couldn't be my mother?" "I do. Now, seeing you with Ethan and Noah, I can say you're the best mom in the world. Natural, loving, firm when you need to be." "Thank you, son. But I learned from you too." "How so?" "You taught me that being a mom isn't about giving birth. It's about choosing to love every day, being present, making sacrifices without expecting anything back. Ethan and Noah, listening to the conversation, exchanged a glance and smiled. "Mom," Ethan said, "we love you every day too. And I like it when you scold us because it shows you care," Noah added. The whole table burst into laughter. This unconventional family had found its perfect formula of love and respect. The following years brought growth and achievements. Tyler graduated with honors in medicine and was accepted into the NICU residency at the same hospital where he'd found Ethan. At 15, Ethan was one of the top students in school and already showed a calling for medicine. Noah, now 9, had fully adjusted, developing a cheerful artistic personality with a talent for drawing and music. "Ty," Ethan said in a brotherly chat, "you achieved your dream of becoming a doctor. What's next?" "I want to open a clinic for premature and abandoned babies. A place where kids like you and Noah can get the best care. Can I help when I graduate?" "Of course, we can work together." "What about me?" Noah asked. "Can I help too?" "You can do the clinic's artwork," Tyler replied. "Draw beautiful things to brighten the place. I'll make the prettiest drawing in the world." Victoria, overhearing, was moved seeing her sons plan a future together. When Ethan turned 16, he asked to meet Brittany in person. "Mum," he told Victoria, "I want to meet Brittany. Not out of sadness or need, just curiosity. And I want Noah to meet her too. Are you sure?" "Yes, I think it's important to know our full story." They arranged to meet in a public park, a neutral space to keep everyone comfortable. Brittany, now 28, had changed a lot, more mature, with a stable job and emotional balance. "Ethan," she said, emotional, "you've grown so much, and you look so handsome and healthy." "Hi, Brittany, this is Noah, my brother." "Hi, Noah, you look like Ethan when he was little." The conversation was calm and enlightening. Brittany shared her life, her regrets, and her progress. Ethan and Noah asked about their biological father and the circumstances of their births. "Do you hate me?" Brittany asked at the end. "No," Ethan replied. "We understand you did what you thought was best, and look how well everything turned out. Are you happy?" "Very happy. We have an amazing family." "Then I did the right thing." "You sure did. Thank you for giving us the chance to be happy." The reunion brought peace and closure to everyone involved. Ethan and Noah got to know their roots without it affecting their love for the family that raised them. Grandma Dorothy, now 82, remained the heart of the family. Her health was fragile, but her spirit stayed strong. "Grandma Dorothy," Noah said one afternoon, "will you stay with us forever?" "Noah, my love, I'll stay as long as God allows. But even when I'm no longer here physically, I'll keep watching over you from heaven." "Don't talk like that. You have to see Ethan and Ty become doctors." "I'll do my best, sweetheart." Tyler, now a practicing doctor, dedicated all his free time to his family. His first successful surgery on a premature baby was celebrated by the whole family as if it were a collective achievement. "Son," Victoria said proudly, "remember when you were just a scared street kid? Today you saved a life. I only made it this far because of you, because of this family that gave me love and stability. And now you'll help other families stay together, just like we did." At 17, Ethan took his college entrance exams and was accepted into medical school. Noah, now 12, continued developing his artistic talents and discovered a passion for music. "Mom," Noah said one day, "can I learn to play the piano?" "Of course, we'll find you a teacher." "I want to play to cheer up the babies at the UAS clinic Ty is going to open." "What a beautiful idea, sweetheart." The family kept growing and growing stronger, always united by the values they'd learned together: unconditional love, responsibility, gratitude, and solidarity. One Sunday afternoon, the whole family gathered in the backyard. Tyler played with Noah, Ethan studied for his exams, Victoria tended to her plants, and Grandma Dorothy rested in her rocking chair, watching them all. "You know, Grandma Dorothy said to Victoria, I never imagined my life would feel so meaningful again after I lost my Ethan. You gave meaning to all our lives too. It's funny how life works. Tyler found you just when you were ready to be a mother again. Ethan came when Tyler needed purpose. Noah appeared when Ethan was ready to be a big brother. And I was here when all of you needed a grandma. It's true, like it was all planned. Maybe it was. Love has its mysterious ways. Just then, Ethan walked over to them. Grandma Dorothy, Mom, can I say something? Of course, son. I've been thinking about how special our family is, and I wanted you to know how grateful I am for everything. Ethan? Let me finish, Mom. I want to say, it doesn't matter where I was born or how I got here. What matters is that you took me in, loved me, gave me an education and values. You made me who I am today. And who are you today? Grandma Dorothy asked, smiling. I'm Victoria's son, Tyler and Noah's brother, Grandma Dorothy's grandson. I'm someone who learned that family isn't about blood. It's about daily choices to love. Tyler, who had joined the conversation, added, and we're a family that proves happy endings exist, even after so much hardship. And that one act of courage can change so many lives, Noah chimed in. Victoria looked at her 3 sons and Grandma Dorothy, her heart overflowing with gratitude. Do you know what makes me proudest about our family? She asked. What? They replied in unison. That every one of you, despite going through hardships, chose love, chose to trust, to build, to forgive. That's what makes you special. Ethan hugged Victoria, followed by Tyler and Noah. Grandma Dorothy joined the group hug, forming a circle of love and gratitude. You know, said Tyler, our story began with a street kid carrying a trash bag to an ambulance. Today we're a family of 5 who love each other unconditionally. And it's not over yet, added Ethan. We still have many beautiful stories to live together. So many, agreed Noah, and I'll draw all of them so we never forget. The sun began to set over the backyard, casting a golden light on this special family. Each had arrived there in different ways, but all had chosen to stay and build a story of love, resilience, and hope together. Grandma Dorothy, watching the scene, whispered a prayer of thanks. At 82, she knew her mission on Earth was being fulfilled. She'd helped create a family built on true love, and that was her greatest legacy. Grandma Dorothy, Ethan said softly, are you okay? Better than okay, my dear. I'm complete. I see our family will stay strong and united for a long time. Forever, Noah confirmed. Forever, the others echoed. And so as night slowly fell, this extraordinary family remained together in the backyard, knowing they'd built something truly special, a home founded on unconditional love, where each person was valued not for what they'd been in the past, but for what they chose to be every day. The end of the story. And now, dear listener, we'd love to hear your thoughts about this touching story of love and family. What did you think of Tyler, Ethan, and Noah's journey? Have you experienced situations where someone's kindness completely changed your life? Tell us in the comments which part of the story touched your heart the most. Leave a like to support our work, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other stories that will move you.